connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We're a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and a repeat offender on Ron Siegel Radio.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Jim Norton is in the house. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good to
Glad
be
to have you
back.
with us. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. I love to celebrate. Although generally when I'm celebrating, it has something to do with, something sweet, something libation-wise. But today is National Senior Citizen Day. Oh, look at that. We're celebrating National Senior Citizen Day. Gotta love it.
I became a poster child.
Poster child of senior citizen. I wonder how old that picture is. That looks like that picture is probably at least 25 years old.
Oh no, it's yesterday.
Yeah, right. That is our senior citizen, Jim Norton, right there. What else are we going to celebrate today? National Spumoni Day.
Yes.
You a fan of Spumoni? You like Spumoni, Jim?
I actually like Spumoni. I love it when you go to Spaghetti Factory and you get your Spumoni at the end.
Oh yeah.
Tasty.
Nice stuff. Okay, so what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Put it in the chat if you're watching us live. Now, those of you that listen to us on the syndication of stations on the ABC News and Talk Radio Network, be aware, we hear you. So if you yell at the radio, we know that you just said that. If you're watching us as we record this, 9 a.m. every weekday morning, put it in the chat. We like to see the comments. We can see the comments. We will remark upon them. So what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? I'll start up. Peanut butter and chocolate. I know. I might be a little odd, but peanut butter. What's your favorite flavor, Jim?
Oh, chocolate chip mint.
Chocolate chip mint.
However you want to pronounce it. Oh, I love that.
I know my son, my oldest son is a big mint chip guy.
Yeah.
Josh, what's yours? You didn't put yours in there, man. Where's Josh with his favorite flavor of ice cream? Josh is thin, so maybe he's another mint chipper. Okay.
There you go.
I guess I've been told I'm the oddball for many, many years. Okay, let's see what the markets are doing. We better get to the business at hand. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 63 points. S&P 500 is down 3. The NASDAQ down 19. Oil's down 48 cents a barrel, and the 10-year Treasury is down about 2.5 basis points, 3.785. We're looking at all of it. Let's see what's gasoline prices. I don't know if we even want to watch gasoline prices. I do have a picture I will be sharing on our social channels later today. For some reason, we've got this photo that came across my desk, And yes, I have no life, so I watch all these things and then I share them. But it talks about when inflation started. I'm sorry, it's not when inflation started. It says when price gouging started, because yes, we are in the formerly golden state. And it basically tells us when price gouging started. I'll share it on socials. I didn't get over to Josh this morning. I think it was January 20th of 2021. But who would know what else happened on that day? So there's just a little bit for you. Gasoline prices down 1/10 of a penny today in the state of California. Yesterday, $4.94, $4.59.6. Today, $4.59.5. National average, $3.39. I bet there's still only three states in the union that have gasoline that is over $4 a gallon. And yes, we are one of them. Josh is just below it, though, $3.96. You're almost in the promised land, Josh. So I used to think Nevada used to have much better pricing, but they're trying to keep up with us. Big news of the day today. I don't know if you caught this one, but it is something that, being that we have no life, we watch this all the time. So we got an update to payroll today. Payroll numbers. Are you surprised to know?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that the Bureau of Labor Statistics overstated the payroll numbers by 818,000 jobs as of the March of 2024. 818,000 jobs. Now, we've been telling you right along, if you're a listener of Ron Siegel Radio, you know that the numbers that come out are all fake. You got to wait for the actual numbers to come out. I'm going to share something with you. Tell me in the chat if you've ever heard this before. I'm going to tell you how the polls that you're getting and watching right now, how do they make those fake? How do they fudge the numbers on the polls? Especially so let's just use in the presidential polls right now. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, and it doesn't matter who the pollster is. They all use the same trick. So they get the poll to say what they want. How do they do that? Well, if you want an accurate poll or something that's worthwhile, you need to be looking at likely voters. When you get a poll that just says adults or any of the other things, it doesn't matter. Likely voters is what you want to see. But then now what they're doing is they'll say, okay, we're going to poll at 37% Democrat, 36% Republican. That's a very common way that they do it, is they always poll a little bit more in the way of Democrats than Republicans. So let's just say we did 37 Democrat, 36 Republican. Well, that means there's 37 for the independent side. Here's how you skew the numbers. Who do you think the people in Los Angeles skew to? Do you think they skew Republican or Democrat? Who do you think the people in New York City skew? Which way do you think the people in Philadelphia or Chicago skew? So what they do is they go to that 37% and they poll people heavily in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Seattle, New York. And that's how they skew those numbers to get them to be what they want them to be, is by the independents that they are polling are in the heavily liberal areas. And that's the way they do that and get it done to the numbers that they want to present. And then they go to the media, which is 90% liberal, and say, here's what we're looking at. Kamala Harris is in the lead. Just showing you how showing you how the sausage is made. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the number one mistake sellers are making right now, the number one mistake sellers are making right now. And we've got some Borrow Smart for you. Your Credit Matters, Jim Norton, and more. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
As the economy slows, do you know anyone worried about job loss? At Siegel Lending Team, we offer the Home Select Loan. Think of it as a financial superhero cape for homeowners with good income and credit. It not only saves your home, but also throws a life ring to your credit score. Because who needs stress when you can have peace of mind? Let's secure your future with a smile. Visit rsrhomeselect.com. rsrhomeselect.com. NMLS 217037.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. What did the rates do yesterday? They don't tell us that points paid, points received, or the APR. They give us the number that has to go in your mortgage calculator. And if you don't have a mortgage calculator, ronismylender.com, ronismylender.com. That is our mortgage app. And it does not, no cost to you. And if you want to apply for a loan, you can do that there too, but it gives you the calculator. Conventional loans, 30-year fixed down 6.435. Jumbo, 30-year fixed down 6.785. FHA, 30-year fixed down 6.241. VA, 30-year fixed down 5.789. USDA loans, rural areas, generally no down payment, 30-year fixed. That was down. Clean sweep. That was at 6.152, a clean sweep. If you want our commentary on the markets, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. So let's take a look and see what's going on in the markets today. That was yesterday's market data as far as the locked rates. S&P 500 right now, it is up 1.84. That one's been jumping around a lot today. So right now, we're up a little bit, up 1.84. The 10-year Treasury, this is the bond. The yield is down 3 basis points. And the mortgage-backed security, that's the yield on the 10-year was down 3 basis points. The mortgage-backed security, that bond is down 15 basis points. You got so much going on here that I'm a little slow. It's hump day. Okay, so what are we doing here? The stocks and bonds both higher so far this morning. Later this afternoon, about 1 o'clock Eastern time, there's going to be a 20-year bond auction. Could impact the markets depending on the level of demand. With the outlook for yields to move lower, it would make sense to see strong demand, which could help bonds further, although the 10 and 30-year auctions earlier this month were weak. It would have been smart for investors to jump in as yields have come down since those auctions. Remember, yield down, bond price up. When you buy the bond, you can make money two ways. You make money on the yield, or you can make money on the price. If the bond price goes up, good news. 11 o'clock, we're going to get the Fed minutes from the July 31st Fed meeting. It's going to give us a closer look at what was discussed at that July 31st meeting, where the Fed left rates unchanged. Also, before we get the big jump in the unemployment rate, but nonetheless, it still could be important and give us some more insights. These meetings will likely have a bit less importance than usual because we'll be hearing from Fed Chairman Jay Powell. Yes, we're going to hear from him. That commentary comes out on Friday is when he's speaking, and my thoughts about the Fed Chairman and the Federal Reserve as it is.
Such an idiot.
Yes.
Such an idiot.
Because they say they're data dependent.
Such an idiot.
When you're
Such an idiot.
Enough. When they say they're data dependent, that means they're looking backwards, not forecasting. So here's the big news of today, though. The BLS released their benchmark revisions for job data from March 2023 to March 2024, showing that the Bureau of Labor Statistics overstated job growth by 818,000
Surprise,
jobs.
surprise, surprise.
That means 1 in 3 jobs that they reported were created never, ever happened. If you average out how much the revision is on a monthly basis over the year, it would be a revision of 68,000 per month. On average, we saw 242,000 jobs created per month from March 2023 to March 2024, which now falls to 174,000. This would have materially changed the strength of the jobs report that pressured bond market many times over that period of time. It's scary that this is also the data the Fed goes off to make their monetary policy decisions. The Fed is likely going to feel some additional pressure from this report, as they've been behind the curve more than they even thought. Can you say inflation is transitory, ladies and gentlemen? That was what the Fed told us. I wonder when it's going to transition. There are a few other data points that will go into their rate cut decision on September 18th, including PCE inflation report for July on August 30th, the jobs report for August on September 8th, CPI inflation report for August on September 11th. But the revision today could be a key point. I'm still saying the Fed needs to cut by 0.5%. And, that does not affect the traditional loans, but it does have an effect on my favorite loan, the Home Select loan from our friends at Geneva Financial. Philly Fed Services Index manufacturing has been in recession for some time now, but we are starting to see a trend of weakening now in the service sector. The Philly Fed non-manufacturing index for August was reported at a negative 25.1, which is even more negative than the negative 19.1 in July. This is the worst reading since December 2020 and is a 7th month in the past 8 that the figure is negative. Looking to future expectations, the 6-month outlook fell 54 points in the last 2 months, from 44.7 in June to negative 9 in August, which is a huge swing and change in outlook. The inflation components were benign and the employment components were very weak. Full-time jobs contracted for the 2nd month in a row to a negative 14.9, and part-time jobs also declined to negative 0.5. If you're still thinking that rates are going to stay the same, they're not. If you're concerned or interested in what it might do to your family and how your family might benefit from a rate cut, just send us a note. We will adopt your mortgage, tell you where you are now, what the future looks like from forecasts that we use, and see what your number is. And I don't know if we even did a Josh, did we do I know we did a segment on what's your number. Did we make a link to that? What's your number? Okay, we might have to, we'll put that in there. Go to rsrlinks.com/what's your number? No apostrophe. What's your number? If it's not there, we'll make sure it's there by lunchtime. rsrlinks.com/what's your number, and take a look and give us an idea of what that might be. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Let's bring Jim Norton in with us, senior citizen of the day, and real estate guru. Morning, Mr. Jim.
Morning, Ron.
So what are you seeing out there? What's going on in the real estate world? What's happening on the streets? Anything new in the world of real estate regulation?
Well, everybody is watching this new compensation method. Okay.
Okay, I gotta hit you right there, Jim. Got to hit you there. Okay. But because one of the things that you spend a lot of time in the real estate world. I spend a lot of time in the real estate world. And sometimes we forget that there is a world outside of real estate. There's a whole lot of people that have no clue about what these changes are that are coming down, because they don't care. It doesn't affect them. Why don't you start there?
They don't. And honestly, Ron, they don't need to be concerned about it, because nothing really has changed. It is just the methodology of calculating the compensation. A realtor is still being paid out of the transaction. Okay, it's just a matter of how it's calculated. It doesn't doesn't really change anything. It's maybe semantics, whatever you'd like to call it, but it doesn't, people say, oh, it's a big difference. It's this. It's not really that big a deal. I think you had Beef Wellington on and you had asked him, what do you think is going to happen with everything? Nothing. Business is going to continue on as usual. You're going to need a realtor more and more because they've also just made everything a little bit more complex. And if you try to sell something yourself, you have to follow some of those rules, and you don't even know what those are. So it's more of a hoopla. It's a change. Residential realtors are going to be doing business a lot more like the commercial realtors do, and everything will settle out probably by in a month or two. People will get used to it. The strangest thing is an open house. You cannot just walk into an open house and ask a question. You have to sign a sort of a non-disclosure, I'll call it, for lack of an easy word, that you have some questions about the house, but you're not represented by a buyer's agent. That'll be the most confusing, but no more confusing than the COVID signature was. And then that went away, of course, but people got used to it fairly quickly.
So the funny thing is, for those that know me, I've got a bad wheel right now, so I don't go and visit too many open houses. But I went just to see a couple of them this past weekend, and I wanted to see, how the real estate community is similar, how they're changing, and it's fascinating to me about what's being requested and at the guidance of different real estate brokerages, because everyone's trying to figure out the new law of the land or the new rule of the land. It's not a law, no matter what anybody tells you. A law, if you remember your days, if you're old like Jim and I, we used to watch cartoons maybe we might even have to put Josh into this old conversation here, that there were cartoons every Saturday morning, and we would sit in front of the TV and they might have a bowl of cereal or a cup of coffee if you're the parent and watch cartoons with the kids. And one of the commercials was how a bill becomes a law. And Josh, do they have that anymore? Is that okay? Those commercials are still there. Josh has little ones. I have little grandkids, but how a bill becomes a law, and they were teaching that it has to go through the legislature, and that's where they write the bills, and it goes in the case of a federal, it goes through the House of Representatives and the Senate all have to agree, and then it goes to the president or the executive branch for a signature, and then it's a law. Well, everything that's being talked about right now in real estate, you hear a lot of people saying, well, the new law is. Well, show me the law. Show me the bill. Show me the executive, either the governor or the president's signature on there. No one can produce that. So it's a rule that coming out of this club, the National Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, or whatever your organization is. We're going to continue that conversation with what did I see firsthand over the weekend. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. And I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com, the real-time real estate segment again. Number one mistake sellers are making right now, overpricing their house. Have we talked about this one before? In today's housing market, many sellers are making a critical mistake, overpricing their houses. This common error can lead to a home sitting on the market for a long time without any offers. And when that happens, the homeowner may have to drop their asking price to try to reignite buyer interest. Data from Realtor.com shows the number of homeowners realizing this mistake and doing a price reduction is climbing. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart. We use lots of charts here, but I'm going to give you what this chart is basically showing. If you're listening to us on our syndication, number of price reductions is increasing. And as I've shared with you in the past, you can get all this data. Now, this is national data. That chart that you're looking at is national data. But I know you live in the nation, but do you think your street, your zip code is the same as every other street, every other zip code in the nation? No. You want information about your street, your zip code? rsrlinks.com/market report. rsrlinks.com/market report. That'll show you exactly what the reductions are in your zip code. But I digress. If you're thinking about making a move yourself, here's what you need to know. The best way to avoid making a costly mistake is to work with a trusted real estate agent to find the right price. Here's a look at what's at stake if you don't. And you can see right there on that chart the number of prices reductions increasing, going from 182,000, almost 183,000 in January, over 300,000 right now. Ooh. So, keys here, right? Not paying attention to current market conditions. Understanding current market conditions is a key to accurate pricing. You don't want to set your asking price based on what happened during the pandemic. The market has moderated a lot since then, so it's far better to align your price with today's reality. Real estate agents stay updated on market trends and how they impact the pricing strategy for your house. Pricing it based on what you want to make, not what it's worth. Big mistake. Another misstep is pricing it based on what you want to make on the sale and not necessarily current market value. You may see other homes in your neighborhood selling for top dollar and assume yours can do the same. My house is always better than the next door neighbors. Just ask me. But you may not be considering differences in size, condition, and features. For example, maybe the other house is waterfront or has a finished basement. To sum it up, Bankrate explains, quote, how do you find that sweet spot of pricing for profit but not overpricing? The expertise of your agent can be truly valuable here. A knowledgeable agent will understand fair market value in your area, how much your house is worth, and how much you might reasonably expect to get for it in the current market, unquote. An agent will do a comparative market analysis, CMA, to make sure your house is compared with truly similar properties to get an accurate look at how it should be priced. Pricing high to leave room for negotiation, another common yet misguided, poor, bad, harmful, just my opinion, strategy is to price your house high on purpose so you have more room to negotiate down during the sale. But this can backfire. A price that seems too high often deters potential buyers from even considering your home. So rather than leaving room for negotiation, what you'll actually be doing is turning buyers away. U.S. News and U.S. News Real Estate explains, quote, you want to sell your house for top dollar, but be realistic about the value of the property and how buyers will see it. If you've overpriced your home, chances are you'll eventually need to lower the number, but the peak period of activity that a new listing experiences is already gone, unquote. If you've been watching Ron Siegel Radio for any length of time, you've seen us share a chart about the impact of pricing on visibility. And I want to go through this real quick so we can get back to Jim Norton. if you price your property at market value, again, you got to get that from your agent to see what the comparisons. About 60% of the market is going to see your property. If you go 10% above market value, that 60 drops to 30%. If you're 10% below market value, that 60 increases to 75%. If you go 15% above market value, only 10% of the market's going to see your property. If you go 15% below market value, 90% of the market will see your property. So be aware that it's all up to you as to what you want to do right here. Bottom line, overpricing your home can have serious consequences. A knowledgeable real estate agent brings an objective perspective, in-depth market knowledge, and a strategic approach to pricing. Give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and we'll have a conversation about this. And remember, rsrsalesmax.com, rsrsalesmax.com. I changed that. rsrlinks.com/salesmax, rsrlinks.com/salesmax. That'll give you an indication of some strategies to maximize the sale price of your home. rsrlinks.com/salesmax. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Back to our conversation. Jim Norton is with us this morning, real estate expert. And we were chatting before about, so we didn't lay this out really as well as I'd like to. The changes in real estate have to do with how the buyer's agent and seller's agents are compensated. Not the amounts. Nothing's going to change here. It's always been negotiable.
Always negotiable.
Previously, the listing agent would sit down and chat with the seller. They would come up with a figure on what the commission was going to be for the entire transaction. They would negotiate that. Right. Then what would happen is the listing agent would put into the remarks in the multiple listing service and into the contracts what portion he or she was willing to share with a buyer's agent. We've talked about that in the past. I've shared with you that this can be used to enhance the sale price and net sales revenue to the seller if it's used strategically. Again, you see that, rsrlinks.com/salesmax. What did the DOJ do in the lawsuit with the National Association of Realtors? What was the settlement? Basically, they said, I digress. I missed one part of that before. When you made an offer on a piece of property as a buyer, you could always put a negotiation in there that you wanted. You didn't care where the change was coming from. So you might say, okay, the property is listed for $1 million. I want to pay $900,000. The seller might say, okay, well, I'll do that, but I'm not going to pay 6% commission. I'll pay 5.5%. All negotiable. Mm-hmm. Everything was negotiable. In real estate, you notice everything is written. You know, and that is a law that a real estate transaction must all be in writing. Could be on the back of a napkin. We've gotten into the point of using the long contracts, but it's all negotiable. What's happened now in this settlement is the buyer's agent and listing agent don't cross, as far as the listing agent doesn't share his commission with the buyer's agent, but the seller can still offer a commission to buyer's agents. And I'm not going to get into the weeds with that, but what's morphed out of this is this representation agreement that's become more prevalent for buyers. It's always been there, but it's more prevalent now. Jim, I'm going to tell you that, so you and I were at a meeting last week, and they were talking about the fact that in that brokerage, at an open house, they needed a buyer's representation agreement from everybody that came in. Either they signed it, or they had one, or they weren't able to give them a lot of information.
Right, they're limited on what they could talk about in terms of, again, the wording is, if they are questions that engage you as a realtor, then those need to have an agreement. If it's just a question of, is there a bathroom in the upstairs Jack and Jill, Does it have a shower or tub? That's just factual questions that are pretty much on any flyer. But if it's something where you say, well, is the owner willing to do a note carryback or assistant finance, then you're acting as a realtor, and that you need an agreement for, a buyer's agreement for.
Okay, so I was at
Some form of buyer's agreement.
I was
actually.
at a couple of open houses, and there were two different large real estate brokerages, Southern California brokerages. They're not national. They weren't the national brands.
Mhm.
And basically, all they asked for is give us your name and contact information, a regular sign-in sheet, and
Right.
they basically answered almost anything that somebody wanted to know. Pretty interesting.
There that if you remember from the meeting, the CAR, California Association of Realtors, has provided a simple version of a buyer's representation. It says that you sign this. It's like a sign-in sheet, and that allows the agent giving the open house to show you and answer a few more detailed questions on that basis. Really doesn't go into any depth of your agreement. It doesn't, obviously it doesn't negotiate any compensation or anything at that point, but it gives you, it basically registers you that you came through on that particular day, and that agent has acknowledged that you are in need of representation.
It's fascinating how this is all going to work out. And again, because it's not a law, and because it's not been taken to any kind of a court, there's a whole lot of interpretations out there, and it's just going to be very, very fascinating to watch how this changes over the next 3, 6, 12 months, because there's going to be interpretations. And
Correct.
clarifications.
There'll be a lot of interpretations of what you do. The most unfamiliar part of it is the negotiation part, when a buyer's agent calls a seller and says, I have a buyer, they'd like to make an offer, and here are the basis of it, and here is the requested compensation for their buyer's agent. And that negotiation occurs, but then the seller's agent has to take that back to the seller. Do you see what I'm saying? There's could be 4 or 5 times back and forth just before you get the offer in. And agents, if you're new, you're thrown in the mix of a pretty good serious negotiation really quick.
Well, being that I don't sell real estate, yes, I disclose all the time. I've had a real estate license, and probably for 10 years, give or take. Never used it. I am not qualified to use it. Jim is. He's done these transactions, written the transactions. There's a lot of people like me that for one reason or another got a license. I needed it for leading the lending team that was governed by the Bureau of Real Estate many years ago. The company that Geneva is not. That's where I lead the lending team now. But it's getting to a point, though, you're going to need somebody that really understands the paperwork. The paperwork is not what it used to be. It's changed dramatically in the last, there's probably been 4 revisions in the last 2 months of documentation. And you need somebody that's staying on top of this, that's going to a lot of meetings, getting a lot of training to understand these things. It's not your mother or grandmother's real estate world anymore. We're going to continue this conversation with Jim Norton when we come back, and we're going to talk more about overpricing your property. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, once again, you can call me anytime, 800-306-1990. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. Just imagine, what would it feel like not to have a mortgage, not to have that massive payment going on for the rest of your life? Have you ever gotten an email that said, or seen a commercial or something go across your social media feed that says pay off your mortgage in the next 9 to 10 years? And he said, with no extra mortgage payments? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? I thought so until I learned about the offset mortgage at Geneva Financial. They call it the Home Select, rsrhomeselect.com. You can have your mortgage paid off in the next 8 to 10 years, no extra mortgage payments. In fact, you might even have a lower payment. Take a look at it, rsrhomeselect.com, rsrhomeselect.com. That is our Borrow Smart segment today. Back to Jim Norton talking about real estate. So, Jim, we talked a little bit, or I did, in the last segment about overpricing a property and, maybe a changing market. What's your experience with pricing properties? Do you like the idea of going higher to negotiate down, lower to bid up? What's your thoughts?
Oh, I'm in agreement with your chart. A great chart, the one with the pyramid.
Right.
You have to remember, you have no active negotiation with one person. So if you have one person that comes into your open house and you're 30% above market value, you don't have any active negotiation because they're the only one interested. So you pretty much have to listen to what they have to say. And if they're going to come in with a below market value after, talking it up, you don't have anywhere to go. But if you start low and work your way high, you're going to have more interest. More interest is going to give you more chances of being able to bid and work with buyers, to compete for that compete for that house. Now we see a lot of this overpricing occurring right now because of the flippers. They're buying at a pretty high rate, and then they're doing their work on it, and then they're trying to recover their money, and so they're coming out with a high price, and you're seeing a lot of those decrease. But then again, they have limitations because they have loans to repay and profit to make. Makes it really tough. But no, it's so let's dig into that. People overestimate the supply and demand side of things. Yes, there's low supply, there's still good demand, but that doesn't drive the whole market.
Let's dig into that because I know, I don't think you're doing it now, but I know in the past you've been a builder, and so you've got a lot of that experience. And there's not a whole lot of difference in my opinion, between a builder and a flipper. The flipper starts in essence, the builder starts with a blank canvas and the flipper starts with an ugly canvas. So, you're both trying to make it beautiful so it can be sold to maximize the sales price. When you're doing the flipping, where people are going out and buying a property and trying to enhance it for sales purposes, there's a lot of expenses, a lot of risk that goes in there. And what happens if the market changes while you've got an ownership in that property?
That's You're absolutely correct. I disagree with you on the comparison between the two. A builder is creating value because they're taking something from a raw land state that has a lower value, and they're putting a house on it that has creation of value. That also gives, and they're also in it for a longer term. So they've have written in are calculated in the ups and downs of what the market swing can do. A flipper is a quick fix and quick buck. It's just putting lipstick on something to make it look good to see if you can sell it. They're not really fixing the bones of the property. The property is 60 years old. There could be a lot of termite damage. There could be bad plumbing, and they're not redoing the plumbing. They're just putting on fancy new fixtures. That isn't really creating that much value. The problem is it's very costly to do what I just described. And so they're trying to get a profit. And at the same time, they're trying to get a return on the loan investment they made. So I don't know if there's a comparison between the two, but a builder is definitely in a different position.
Interesting. Okay. So, well, yeah, something I see what you're saying. I don't. The concept though is, I mean, right now there's not a lot of raw land to go and build.
That's true.
Do you see many builders?
That's where any government programs don't take into account, especially in California. There's always the idea that they want to build low income housing. We want to build affordable housing. We want to build this. You have to be able to find a piece of land that you can affordably convert to it, whether you're tearing down an old warehouse. If you're looking for raw land, you're moving east and you're getting farther out away from the job centers. There's a lot of issues mixed into that claim of making it cost effective to build housing. Then, of course, you have the other side of the coin where people say, well, in order to build this, I need to get 30 units on this piece of property, but I'm in the middle of a single family neighborhood. Single family neighborhood doesn't want something that large in next door to them.
Which is a big fight that's going on right now in Anaheim Hills, where they're looking at building two different projects that are 400, 500, 600, 700 units.
Right.
And the community then as a flipper, you don't have to deal with the zoning because it's already there. Builders have to deal with the city backlash.
Right. The builders have to deal with a lot more backlash, the neighborhood backlash, the city itself. But the flipper has it easy. But the flipper also has to be you have to be logical about it. You have to be, okay, time is money in a flip. Really, really, you have to be really conscious of time. And then you also have to be conscious of really realistic pricing. And I think some people have gotten into flips they shouldn't have gotten into. When you see that, because you're thinking, wow, you've gone 30% over the market and all you did was paint the place. I don't know if you're going to get your money back. You should have bought better. In fact, in building, you always say it's how you buy the land is how you make your profit. And that's the key. So in a flip, if you're paying too high for your original acquisition, then you're going to have trouble doing your flip on it.
Well, I'm going to say in every business, money is always, always, always made in purchasing.
Yes.
The market will always, even, the shirt I'm wearing, I can't make money on it if I pay $500 and it's a Walmart shirt.
Uh-huh.
If I pay 99 cents for it and I want to sell it for $10, okay, I can make money. So no matter what it is, the market's going to set a price for everything. The market's going to set a price for the house. Right. The market's going to set a price for painting and all that other stuff. So, if you think about this, if the house is not purchased properly, then what happens? Well, the person that's doing the flip may be skimping somewhere. They might be using one coat of paint instead of two. They might be painting over some drywall that is masking a leak of some sort. Those are all things that are happening or could happen there. So just beware that there are a lot of different issues. But We're going to get into that and more when we get Jim back on. We can talk about this further. But as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
And older by the minute, my boss just pushed me over the limit. I'd like to call